and Fitness Center roof construction project. So if any council member would like to discuss any of these items separately, we can take it off and to do so. If not, I would look for a motion to approve and accept the consent calendar. We have hearing back?
I move
Okay.
I move to approve the consent calendar as presented.
Okay, thank you. We have a motion by Councilor Fortune.
I'll second that. Or Julie.
We have a second by Councilor Wolf. Okay, let's go ahead and vote.
Motion carries unanimously.
Okay, great. Thank you. And since the audio has been restored, we'll go ahead and call on Linda Moreland now. You have your opportunity to make public comments.
Linda Moreland, 37 Minnehaha Avenue, Manitou Springs. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So I am making a request from our community to please run for city council. Please run for mayor. Please. Because our city needs saved and nobody's stepping up. So please, everybody, pay attention. Talk to your friends, talk to your neighbors, get someone responsible to run for mayor, to run for city council. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, that takes us down to business. And business, first item is consideration of a grant revision proposal presented by the Manitou Arts, Culture, and Heritage Board. So. And council, I did send an email out earlier today. I don't know if you had an opportunity to see it, but several items were added to the council packet to better to explain where the mural would be and what it would look like. With that, we have.
Okay, I'm Ralph Roughton, 114 Palisade Circle, here as chair of the Manitou Arts, Culture, and Heritage Board.
My name is Natalia Pulido, 379 Pila Nub. I'm in the match grant award granted this year.
I want to thank you for the opportunity to be on the agenda and to address a match grant that was approved in March and went through council, but then changed rather dramatically. Natalia Pulido had applied for and was awarded a grant to create a large mural with a historical theme on an outside wall out around the Rocky Mountain Beignets building on Manitou Avenue downtown. To be honest, the match board had some concerns about the proposal, mainly because it wasn't very clear from the start that the building owner was fully buying in. So the grant request of $8,500, $8,500 was awarded only for $4,849, with the hope that the owner would cover the rest since he stood to have possession of the mural on his property. Instead, that initial proposal was revised and then fell apart. Natalia explored options, then came to the match board last month, still in limbo, after dealing with the Rocky Art Museum and the Chamber with possibilities. The match board realized the project no longer was close to the original approved concept. Personally, I thought the outcome would be to grant her an extension into next year to pull it all together, and I was ready to push for that. We asked Natalia to come back for a special match meeting last week on July 10th, and we learned then that the Rocky Art Museum option was back in play. Natalia and her husband Manuel showed us their progress, and the match board voted unanimously to recommend council approval of that as the new project. But that action was conditional unless we had more assurances by tonight. That's why the material submitted for the agenda item in the council packet wasn't more complete, because some of the pieces literally didn't come together until the last 48 hours. Tonight, we have more to report. Rocky's family and museum leaders have outlined what they'd like to see in the mural, roughly 8 feet by 8 feet on the museum's north wall facing Charles Parker Place, the short alley between the Rocky Museum and the Commonweal Artists Co-op. Natalia has been working hard on sketches, and actual work on the mural could begin as soon as early August. I asked for a letter of support from the Rocky Art Museum, and that letter came Monday night from their managers, David Ball and Lana Elliott, which we forwarded to you this morning. I would like to insert here that the Match Board now expects to implement new guidelines for murals and other public art, starting with the next grant round, requiring applicants to nail down their site and produce a confirmation letter from the site owner in order to be considered for funding. That way we can avoid situations like this happening again, and we'll encourage the owners to actually be part of the application. With that, I'd like to introduce Natalia Pulido and her, and to give a few more details and to answer any questions you might have. Beyond that, again, the Match Board has voted 7-0 to recommend this new project using the same grant funds already approved and allocated. We have full confidence that Natalia can produce a stunning mural that will have a dramatic impact on those who see it. Thank you. Natalia?
Yes, thank you so much for having me here. Yes, we have several meetings with the family of the Rocky Museum, and we've been coming up with together how we have a design to represent Rocky and how he was an important icon for our community in Manitou Springs. So I think the idea for this mural is to show our community and how he was an inspiration for a lot of artists here, including myself and my husband. We met Rocky back then, and we have a deep connection with him, and the family is really in favor working with us. So yeah, so that's coming really good, and we're having such a positive outcome with the family.
Good, thank you. And Council, I don't know if you've had an opportunity to look at the rendering of the packet.
Sorry.
Is it possible to get the video, the submissions from this morning
Let's-
put on the screen or not? Do
If
we know?
if it's possible, if we could show the artist's rendering of what it's going to look like and then the
That's-
location.
Okay, you want to explain?
Yes,
Oh.
this is like the east side of the wall of the Rocky Museum. So that's what intended like the mural is gonna be. I know there's not much like space for in the avenue, so for safety, we're talking to the family, putting like a panels that is gonna be 8x8. It's gonna be installed, but throughout the process, we're working with the family with the details, adding like more iconic characters or like styles that represent Rocky, but also have a portrait of like Rocky himself there. And I really made some preliminary sketches and studies. Believe Ralph sent it to you as well this morning. So they should have like other paintings there. And the family really likes it, so we're going in a very positive way that I don't know if you can get it. So yeah. So this is like one of the studies I've been working on. But my idea is just kind of add a little bit more elements around him and represent Manitou Springs as well with buildings and mountains and his trees. So yeah.
All right, thank you.
So I don't know.
The force is strong in that one, it looks like. Trying to get rid of that last little pain. Council, do you have questions for Natalia or Ralph? Nancy?
Just one question, Natalia. Did I understand you to say they'd be put on panels and then installed on the wall?
Yes, that's what we've been we've been talking again with the family. But I think that's what gonna be like so far the idea. Because it's like we cannot really block the entire road. I don't know if you've seen, there's not really like a sidewalk there. So we had to kind of completely block the sidewalk if we paint it in the wall, but we're still in the works. So we're still talking to the families. Yeah.
Judith?
Thank you, Mayor. Full transparency, I serve as council liaison to the match board, and I was at the July 10th meeting. And I just want to reiterate that Natalia did everything that she could to follow through on her end for the grant that she received. And through no fault of her own, it fell through. And I just want to say that I really admire her for taking the initiative instead of just saying, okay, well, I'm done, to go out on her own and see if she could increase the inventory of really amazing art, especially in the downtown area. So really spent many hours and in discussions trying to find another alternative. And I think that the grant, award is an incredible value for us for that piece. And so I just wanted to put that out there, that through no fault of her own, she's sitting here trying to get us a really quality piece of art and fulfill her match grant obligations. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Judith. Other comments or questions? Okay,
I have a comment, not a
okay,
question.
okay, go ahead. Mhm.
I don't, the property is titled in the name of Noah Rocky. It's not titled in the name of the museum. It's just Noah's property. And I personally object to public funds being used for improvements to private property. And I understand that it's something that the public might enjoy looking at, but I just don't like spending money on private property. That property could get repossessed tomorrow. It could be purchased by a new owner. I was under the impression the painting would be on the building, but now there's a possibility that it won't be. It'll be on a panel, or for sure is it going to be on a panel? Or you don't know?
Well, we're still working with the family to see what they also meets their needs to.
So there's no clarity on whether it's going to be on a panel or if it's on the building. But it's on the building. If it's on the building itself, then anyone can come along and paint over it, any new owner. And so I just don't agree with, just like I didn't agree with spending match money to paint the building. This is Noah's building. It's not the museum's building. It's Noah's building. So, if he has bills he can't pay and it goes into foreclosure or anything like that, they'll put a lien on the property. I don't like it.
Thank you. Judith?
It was my thank you, Mayor. It was my understanding that the original grant that you received was for a mural on someone's private building that is not owned by the city, and it
Right.
was approved.
Correct.
So I also would like to say in the meeting, the putting the mural on panels, there was discussion of, because of the location not wanting to obstruct traffic or have to close down the road while the building itself was being painted, was another consideration of putting it on panels and just putting it in and installing it. And also, if it's not attached to the building and the city is using funds for it, then it can be moved and put somewhere else. So I'd just like to clarify those two comments. And if there's no other discussion, I'm ready to make a motion when council's ready.
Okay, I think we're ready for a motion.
I move to approve the revised grant proposal before us tonight by Natalia Polito for the Rocky mural on the museum building.
I'll second that.
We motion a second. Any further discussion? Let's vote.
Motion carries 6-1 with Counselor Wolf as the dissenting vote.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Get the
Thanks.
paintbrush out.
Mayor, I just want to make a note that they can now see.
Okay, so the video's been enabled. Good. Okay. All right. Okay, thank you much. Okay, next item is approval of ordinance number 1525, an emergency ordinance of the city of Manitou Springs, Colorado, amending the Manitou Springs Municipal Code to regulate accessory dwelling units in compliance with Colorado House Bill 24-1152. And we have Fred from planning here to introduce this.
Okay, Mayor, Council, thank you very much. For the record, Fred Rollenhagen, Planning Director for the City of Manitou Springs. So what you have before you is an emergency ordinance that would permit accessory dwelling units in certain zoning districts in the city. This is an emergency ordinance, and it is intended to assure that we are in conformance with state law, which required us to come into conformance as of June 30th of this year. But it's intended to do this while the Planning Commission is preparing a more thorough recommendation for a final ordinance that will come to City Council later this year. Planning Commission is being very deliberate and in considering all of the alternatives. And while it wasn't our intention to for it to take this long for the Planning Commission to make a recommendation, they need a couple more months to go through a couple other things and then make a recommendation that will come to City Council. I don't have anything more. I'm happy to go through the emergency ordinance or answer any questions that council has.
Council, would you like to have a little kind of a summary of this by Fred, or what's your pleasure? I think a summary would be useful, Fred.
So very quickly, I'll just highlight the main items that this is doing. Number one, it is creating, of course, a definition of what an accessory dwelling unit is. And that is on the first page. I'm looking at the exhibit, the draft emergency ordinance. As defined, it would be an internal, it would be one of three things. It could be an internal unit inside an existing residence. It could be attached to an existing residence, or it could be a detached structure that would, number one, provide complete independent living facilities for one or more individuals. It must be located on the same lot as a proposed or existing primary residence and includes facilities for living, sleeping, eating, cooking, and sanitation. The ADU under this emergency ordinance is restricted in size to be no less than 500 square feet and no more than 750 square feet in total habitable space, which is what state law allows municipalities to regulate. We must allow between 500 and 750 square feet. We can allow ADUs bigger than that, but we don't have to. And currently, the Planning Commission is considering those size requirements and will provide a recommendation to council. There are density measurements that are found in the current code that will not apply to the accessory dwelling unit because state law does not permit municipalities to impose density measurements. So, for example, if we have a minimum lot size requirement for residences of 4,400 square feet, we cannot require another 4,400 square feet for the accessory dwelling unit. We're required to permit the accessory dwelling unit on the lot that contains the single family residence. Dimensional standards, all dimensional standards will apply to the accessory dwelling unit. So we're talking about height restrictions and setbacks and things of that nature. So those that apply to the single family residence would also apply to the accessory dwelling unit. At this time, we're identifying that an ADU will not be permitted to be used as a short-term rental. As defined in the code. Again, the Planning Commission is being very deliberate in this and will provide a recommendation on that in a few months. But right now, short-term rentals would not be permitted in the accessory dwelling unit. Let's see. And then tap fees would be applied, water tap fee and a sewer tap fee. What we just identified, water tap fee and a sewer tap fee of half of the respective water and sewer tap fees for a single family residence will be applied to an accessory dwelling unit. Are there any other questions?
Questions, council? Julie?
Can you explain section 2? It doesn't look like a complete sentence. I'm not sure what that means. The construction or alteration of an accessory dwelling unit as defined under 180437. What is that referring to? I mean, what does that do? I didn't look up 1806 4.11b, so I'm asking you, is this a new definition or what is it?
No, let me look that up.
Meanwhile, while Fred's doing that, Mr. Parker, if you have comments, okay, I'm sorry, we'll let you guys work.
Guys, it's definitely, it's probably adding it as a use or something, but I want to just make sure you got it right. It's an allowed residential use. Oh. The microphone on would help. Pretty sure it's adding it as an allowed residential use in the residential district, but Fred, I'm maybe there, still trying to get there. 1806.
Oh, yeah. Yes, sorry. That is what we're doing is we're adding the accessory dwelling unit as a permitted use. And so the new subsection 7 is identifying the use of an accessory dwelling unit in the with the uses that would be permitted in the 3 zoning districts specified.
So it's in residential, it's allowed in residential, on residentially zoned properties only, is that correct?
That's correct.
And that's provided in 1806.4.11b. Is that?
So, yeah, 1806 411b lists when you need to have a minor site plan. And so this basically is adding that to a minor site plan is required for an ADU, as well as all the other uses that are listed as well. So making sure that you have to provide a site plan.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Do we have other comments or questions from council? Just thinking back, I think well over a year ago, I think it was in the spring of 2024. I think I testified against or argued against a similar bill that was at the State House, in part because the intent of the state legislature and the proposal they had at that time was just basically to shove the idea of an ADU down the throat of every community in Colorado, and without regard to our own needs. I have concerns, particularly in the older section of town where we've got a lot of congestion, where we have a lot of old infrastructure, old water pipes, old sewer pipes, and parking problems, that this is not really something we want to be too cavalier in. All that said, given that the state was successful in passing this bill, I think probably this is a decent resolution, and with the hope that we'll have maybe something that's a little more fine-tuned in a couple of months, I think this is probably acceptable. I mean, certainly it rubs me a little bit the wrong way, but it's nothing that Manitou has done. I think the Planning Commission and planning staff have come up with a situation that is good for our needs, and we have hopes of having an improved situation in a few months. So we are responding to a state government that I think is a little out of bounds. That said, I noticed one minor typo. I think it's a typo in the ordinance, and that would be in section 5. I guess I'd call it the second paragraph. We go here, section 5, and say, first sentence reads, Colorado Manistee Springs Municipal Code to read as follows, and then that following paragraph on the third line. And Fred, I don't know if you can follow along here, but the second sentence is, should the property on which the accessory dwelling unit is located is subdivided. And my sense is that should be is located be subdivided. So if that could be checked, and that, other than that, I think this is it's a reasonable solution for what we have at hand.
Yeah.
Judith?
Thank you, Mayor. I agree with the mayor that it would have been preferable if we would have been allowed the opportunity to address ADUs in our community and find the best solution for us. But since the State House Bill 24-1152 passed and is now law, I support this emergency ordinance because it's protective in nature while we work on a more substantive and robust ordinance for this. It's protective in that at least we have some guidelines in place here. This is just a comment, not for tonight's discussion, but I just would like to have a conversation about how we plan to monitor whether ADUs are being used for short-term. I think that's a really interesting conversation to have, is how will we monitor that and in the future? So something for future discussion. Thank you.
Thank you. Other comments or questions from council? John and then Julie.
I believe in the state code that there's a laundry list of things that we have to at least adhere one thing to, don't we? In terms of that kind of helps preserve housing. And I think the one thing that we have going for us, that we already have a restriction on the number of short-term rentals. And I'm assuming that's documentation that we provide along with this ordinance when we finally do send it in for compliance to the state. Is that correct?
Yes, we can. I didn't think about providing information about our short-term rental restrictions to submit, but that we can certainly submit that when we submit our ordinance to the state.
I think state code requires us to file an affidavit as to how we're in compliance with state law. So I'm just pointing that out, that we already have that in effect. Thank you.
Got it. Thank you.
Thank you. And Julie?
Was there also a requirement in state law that says that we're not allowed to require off-street parking for the ADUs? I don't know if I'm remembering that.
It's a general requirement. There's some exceptions to that. So you can't require off-street parking for ADUs unless there is no off-street parking available already with the primary residence. And you cannot require off-street parking unless there is no off-street parking available at the site, and unless the city requires off-street parking for primary residences, and unless there is no available on-street parking on that same block. So
Should that be part of this ordinance? Shouldn't that be in there then? If we're trying to show that we're complying with state law and we say we're complying with these certain parts of state law, and then we aren't saying that we're complying with the parking.
well,
thing?
I don't think we have to, because we're not going to require them to provide off-street parking, I don't believe, unless these conditions apply. Then the parking code wouldn't apply, but there's a lot of other things in there we could also put in, but I don't think we have to say that, because as long as we don't do that, I think we're okay. As long as we don't require them to provide off-street parking unless those three conditions exist, then I think we're okay.
But wouldn't we want to require off-street parking unless those conditions exist? I mean, isn't that in the best interest of the city that we require an ADU to have some off-street parking unless one of the state law requirements?
And I guess I'd have to look at our code because it would depend upon, we could add that to the code. I don't think it's a problem. We could add that. It would depend upon if our code already requires that showing or not, Fred. I don't know if you know offhand, just for any type of residence.
Yes, there are off-street parking requirements for single-family residences. That is correct.
And so we could add a section that just lays out exactly how that law works for off-street parking and require it when those exceptions exist.
I would like to see that in here. Otherwise, we're leaving ourselves wide open to never be allowed to require off-street parking. Or am I wrong, Jeff?
I'd have to read your
It
code.
makes it-
I'd have to read your code to see if we could apply it to ADUs as well. I think we probably could because there's still a residential use. But I think it could be, we could clarify it and be clear today just by adding that provision into this ordinance.
And do you have the language for that so that we can make a motion
Yeah.
to add that?
Yeah, it would basically be, off-street parking is not required unless, there is no existing off-street parking. That's all right. Let me read the statute itself.
thank you.
1 second. Let me get that right. I cannot get my computer to scroll.
Can we just have this language for second reading?
There would be
Or-
second reading on.
We're gonna do it as an emergency.
This is emergency.
right
Yeah.
now. Oh, I get it. I'm sorry.
No. It's one and done.
I'm sorry.
Here, I can do it. Yeah, no, we can add a section that would basically say, off-street parking is not required unless the ADU is located in a place with no existing off-street parking that could be used for the ADU, is in a zoning district that requires one or more parking spaces for the primary dwelling unit, and is located on a block where on-street parking is prohibited. That could be the language we could add to the ordinance, and I want to make sure I get the right spot here. See here.
Okay, in the meantime, yeah, Nancy, do you have a question? We can,
I would add that as a subsection F to 180437 in section 1 of the ordinance.
okay.
Fred, I have
Nancy?
a quick question. With the requirement, I believe for the setbacks have to be the same for the ADU, separated ADU as for the primary residence, correct?
Could you repeat that? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I should have left this up. The setbacks have to be the same, darn it, as for the residence, correct? The primary residence, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
So do you have any sense, has an analysis been done to how many properties within Manitou could actually accommodate an ADU given those setbacks?
Yeah, the Planning Commission we're doing that analysis now, and we provided some of that information to the Planning Commission at their last meeting in May. We'll be happy to provide that information to council as well. It does limit the number of lots, and there are a number of development standards that will limit the total number of single family zoned unit lots that could support an ADU. And I'll be providing that analysis to City Council when we bring the final ordinance.
Thank you. And also did Planning Commission discuss the parking issue, the off-street parking issue at all?
No, not a whole lot.
Julie?
Are we required to have public comment before we make a motion on an emergency ordinance?
No, but
Okay.
you could, so.
I'd like to make a motion. Unless there's more public,
Yeah, I mean, this is one and done, and the reason it's an emergency is we're trying to meet state deadlines. So let me just ask this. Do we have anyone in the audience who wants to speak to this? We do have a couple people. So I think since we're not going to have a second hearing and hear public comment on that, I don't see any harm in having taking comment now. So I think we're probably close to a motion, but let's go ahead and see what folks have to say. So I'll declare this part of the meeting open for public comment on this topic. Who'd like to go first? Okay, you've got 3 minutes, and if you'll start by giving us your name and address, please.
Hello, good evening. My name is Amy Mock. I live at 11 Sheridan Place. I'm also a member of the Housing Advisory Board. And I just wanted to say that the Housing Advisory Board, along with the Planning Commission, have done a work session and the Housing Advisory Board has been working on ADUs for several years at this point. I think we started this work, our chair and vice chair, in I want to say 2018, something like that, Nancy. And so we've all kind of agreed, the Housing Advisory Board and the Planning Commission and the Planning Department have agreed on this emergency ordinance. And I think to add a piece right now without any of us discussing it or having seen it with the parking piece would be not using our skills in the best manner. Also with the parking, I immediately thought that maybe, a single young Gen Zer who uses public transit might consider an ADU. And so then requiring parking would be kind of against somebody who has a propensity to public transit.
Okay, thank you. I believe we had another individual there. Ma'am? Ma'am, did you want to speak to this? You didn't? Okay. Is there anyone else who wants to speak to this? Okay, thank you. Public comment is closed. Okay, Julie, I think you were speaking last.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve emergency ordinance number 1525, subject to the additional language that our city attorney read a few minutes ago, incorporating I understand that it's incorporating our existing parking requirements to apply also to ADUs at this time. And certainly we can revise that after we hear from the Planning Commission on what additional changes or language they would like. And Elena, did you already get that, the wording that Jeff gave us a few minutes ago? Because I'm not prepared to repeat it myself. No? Jeff, could you repeat that once again,
Let
please?
me pull it up.
Sorry.
No problem. So I think, as I was thinking about this while you were talking, I think it might not be a bad idea because we don't have specific parking requirements for ADUs. And I think they apply to primary dwellings, and different types of dwellings have different types of parking requirements. It seems to me like you're allowing ADUs between 500 and 750 square feet. And it seems like maybe one off-street parking spot might be reasonable because we don't have any standards for ADUs. So we should probably put one in there. So my thought would be change the language to have one new off-street parking space is required when an ADU, number one, is located in a place with no existing off-street parking that could be used for the ADU. 2 is in a zoning district that requires one or more parking spaces for the primary dwelling unit. And 3 is located on a block where on-street parking is prohibited. So that would be the language. And I would add that to subsection F of section 180437 in section 1 of the ordinance.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, thank you. So the motion is as presented with the addition that Mr. Parker just read. Any further? Motion second. Nancy, discussion?
I just wanted to remind folks that the voting has to be unanimous on an emergency ordinance. And hence I will vote for this, even though I completely agree with Amy. And I would like to, in the final ordinance, which I'm hoping comes much sooner rather than later, certainly in this fiscal year and earlier if possible, that we have some significant discussion on Planning Commission and HAB as the ordinance is rewritten on the parking question. Thank you.
Thank you. Other comments from council? Okay, we have a motion and a second. Let's vote.
Motion carries unanimously.
Great, thank you. Thank you, Fred. Appreciate it. Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you.
Okay. That brings us to receiver act on council correspondence. Does anyone have anything? Nancy, please.
Yeah, just one thing for tonight. I got an email from a constituent who had been around the pool and noticed bait put out for apparently rats and so on. And she was very concerned about that, and I share her concern. So I know that the question went to Phil, the pool manager, and he is checking into if the bait, what impact the bait would have on animals in general. And so I wanted to make council, especially given that we have an organic land management plan out there, which doesn't specifically address something like this, but it is out, the containers are outdoors. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. Michelle?
I received an email from a new resident that moved downtown, and he was not able to get a prorated parking pass for Wichita. And I'm sorry, for Cannon. And so the concern is what happens to residents that move in to downtown Manatee Springs and they don't have a place to park. Thank you.
Understood. Yeah, it's a vexing problem. Okay. Julie, you had a comment?
Thank you. I received a request that I notify council and staff that on Pilot Knob, there is allegedly a truck that has been sitting in the same spot for at least a month with 2 flat tires. It hasn't been moved. And for whatever reason, it hasn't been reported to Click Fix or to the parking department. But I was asked to bring it up here and see if Denise would initiate removal of that vehicle.
Okay. Do you have an address?
I don't. I just know it was on Pilot Knob. That's all I got.
Okay. Well, it's 2 blocks long. I guess it won't be too hard to find. Okay, great. Thank you. Nancy, please.
I'm sorry. I just realized on the last point of business that we had, you had brought up a error within the ordinance, potential error within the ordinance, and I don't think that was included in the motion.
motion.
And do we need that
No.
or not?
We,
Right.
we
Or
can
is
fix
that
that as a
administrative?
typo.
It's a,
Say again?
We can fix that as just a typo without
Okay,
another vote.
great.
It's just changing it is to a B. So.
Yeah, thank you. Sorry, I
Thank
just
you.
didn't
okay.
like.
Thank you. Appreciate you remembering that. Thanks, Nancy. Okay. Other comments? Gonna say, oh yeah, go ahead. No, go ahead. No, you go ahead.
I also would like us to have a work session sooner rather than later to figure out a way for the Manitou Police Department to notify the mayor whenever there is a shelter in place emergency issued, so that the mayor has an opportunity to spread the word to other council members so that we're aware of where the alleged danger is happening. And I think it would increase safety if we're all aware of any, potential dangerous situation rather than waiting for it to be reported to the media.
Okay. I see your concern there. I think maybe what we would want to do is see what's in place now. Maybe have the police and the fire personnel come in and explain how they handle things, so we'd have a better understanding of how that works. And I mean, in the early moments of responding to an emergency, it's not like they're going to be sending out a press release. But your question is really, when do we know, when does the public need to know, and how soon can we tell them, that sort of thing? So that's probably worth hearing and having some discussion on. So I think we can go ahead and get that scheduled.
Right. It's my understanding from the email that Denise sent all of us that she finds out about these things from KRDO just like we do, and that she's not notified. So I'm just asking for them. I don't mind if they want to come and tell us, we do a press release once we have time, but I'd like a quick phone call to be made to the mayor so that we can have that news disseminated quickly through other council members. And I think that would increase the safety of our city.
Okay.
And if we can have a work session to go over that, certainly it would be fine to include the police, of course. I mean, we'd have to have Chief Otto here, but I would like to see that happening sooner rather than later because it's a safety concern. I mean, there were people with open windows and open doors within, steps of where the alleged problem was occurring recently when we were notified about the shelter in place by the news, but I think we should be allowed to know before the press release goes out with a quick phone call, and I think that will increase safety. So I'd love to have an opportunity to discuss that.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I was going to mention, maybe Natalie, did you want to talk about Good Trouble?
Okay, sure. I mean, I think Judith was going to do that, but I can do that as well.
No, Judith, as long as it gets mentioned.
That's fine, sure. So just so the public knows, we are going to have Helena Galloway is putting together a Good Trouble rally in Manitou Springs. I believe that all of council has been invited to participate and many of us intend to, and we'll be meeting in front of City Hall at 5:30, walking to Soda Springs Park, and council has been invited to then read our diversity, equity, and inclusion proclamation at that time. So we hope that you can join us. Oh, I'm sorry. It's this Thursday. I apologize. At five, I believe 5 o'clock, meet at City Hall at 5 o'clock. Thank you.
Okay. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Judith.
And just a segue into that, we're meeting here at 5 and then there will be a march to Soda Springs Park and there will be some speakers. So hope that if you're interested that you can join us. I had something else, but if Mayor, you had.
No, you go ahead.
Well, we had a resident tonight encouraging people to run for office, which is a perfect segue into me reminding you that Monday, the 21st at 5:30 here at City Hall, there is a candidate forum for anyone interested in running for mayor or any of the 3 ward positions that are open. Or if you just want to come and see how the process works, we encourage you to come. At 5:30, Elena, our city clerk, will do a presentation, walk you through the process, and then we will follow that by a panel, a Q&A panel of current sitting city council members, followed by refreshments from the Women's Club. So I hope you can attend Monday at 5:30. Thank you.
Natalie?
And just one more quick shout out. I was able to participate in Pride Fest this weekend, and it felt really good to see so many residents and community members coming together, hugging one another and sort of connecting. And so it's just really nice that we have these opportunities in our community. Thank you.
Yeah, I'd like to add on to that. It was, it actually got mentioned at the Kiwanis meeting last night that some of the members had gone and they had a good time and they thought, people were having they were using the park the way the park's supposed to be used. They're having a good time. Kids are playing. The new playground is getting heavy use. Things seem to go well. So it looked like that was a success story for that day. I think that's all I've got. Michelle?
I just wanted to add that I support the Good Trouble rally, but due to a prior engagement, I will not be here on Thursday.
Okay, we understand. Anything else? Nancy?
Yeah, I know that Julie wants to have a work session for notification, I guess. I just want to say that I don't feel a need to have a work session for that at this point in time. If the police would like to send us an email of what processes they use to inform us, I just don't know what us knowing about it before the police complete their mission is what we're going to do with that information actually. So it's an operational issue at that point. And I think that just adds a bureaucratic layer that's unnecessary. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Well, maybe we'll go around the table here and see what council's druthers are. Would an email from, say, the police and fire folks be sufficient, or at least a good start? Or do you want to spend some time in a work session? We can do that. So Nancy will put you down for the email.
Mayor, may I comment on the reason for my request?
Yeah, go ahead, sure.
Everybody have to
Really.
vote.
Go ahead.
The reason is that most recently, the press release indicated that there was a potentially dangerous person who was breaking into people's homes. And it was in the area of it was near Grand Avenue, but it wasn't on Grand Avenue, but it was the very next street perhaps. I don't remember the details of the scope of the alleged, of where they wanted shelter in place, and the police had warned through the media that people lock their doors and lock their windows and check their homes and make sure that the intruder hadn't already entered their home. And so for those of us that are within a stone's throw of that area, we wouldn't know that we should also, I just think it would be a timing issue where if we find out sooner rather than later, that we can protect ourselves and protect our neighbors. And if we find out about it half an hour later, it may be too late in a future circumstance. In this circumstance, it turned out the person apparently didn't have a weapon and wouldn't be shooting or knifing anybody, but I still would like to know for safety reasons as soon as possible when there's that kind of a potential danger in town, and a really quick phone call. You don't even have to sit down at your computer, just a quick phone call notifying us, I think would be an important safety procedure.
Okay, thank you. Michelle?
I'm fine with an email.
Okay, John?
I guess I'm fine with an email in terms of an explanation of the process to get started with.
Okay, thank you. Natalie?
I am also comfortable with an email as an initial first step in the process.
Okay, thank you. Judith?
I'd like to comment on this. I mean, initially, I'm okay with an email, but I don't live in the area where this happened. And I was pretty mortified as a city council member that I had to find this out. I think that that's a really low bar. I think that I've frequently had transparency issues and I think it's an ongoing issue, and I think we've fallen way short. And I think it's appalling that city council members were not notified. I think our residents expect that of us to know. I certainly, if I wasn't on council and I saw this on the news, I'd assume that our leadership was informed and knew what was going on. So I'm okay initially with an email. I'd like to know more about it, but I'm absolutely open. We get texts from the city administrator for a number of things that, in my personal opinion, didn't rise to this level of threat. So I think going forward, I love a teachable moment, and this is yet another one where I think that city council needs to be informed of these things ASAP. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And I think an email is sufficient start. I guess, and I don't want to stray too far from the central topic, but I guess one of the it's been a concern on everybody's mind here is what are our evacuation procedures and so forth in the event that we have an emergency. I'm more concerned about that, but I think let's start with an email and see where we go from that. Thank you. Anything else from council? If not, let's hear the city administrator's report.
Yeah, the only thing I have is chipping days started today in Zone 6 over off of Becker's and the Villas. So just wanted to remind everybody that chipping days is happening.
Okay, great. Thank you.
It's this week for that zone. No, it's not through Sunday. Staff works Monday through Friday, so I'd have to look and see exactly what
I
days.
believe
it
the
is.
chipper days have all been 3 days long,
Yeah.
Tuesday through Thursday.
Yeah.
So they, yeah, and In some cases, I think in some of the areas, they've finished up before the 3 days are up, and others they've had long days. Let me just put it that way. So we've had mixed levels of participation. Great. Well, that gets us through the basic meeting. We have 2 executive sessions coming up. So I will read those topics. I'll seek a motion to go into executive session, and I think we'll take a little break before we actually do go into executive session. So the first item is an executive session to determine positions relative to matters that may be subject to negotiations, developing strategy for negotiations, and instructing negotiators pursuant to Section 5.1D of the Manitou Springs Municipal Charter. This executive session concerns the Manitou Springs Metropolitan District. And the second item is an executive session for the consideration of documents protected by the mandatory non-disclosure provision of the Open Records Act pursuant to Section 5.1F of the Manitou Springs Home Rule Charter, specifically Colorado Revised Statutes 24-72-204, parentheses 1, parentheses A, and following, and by reference Colorado Revised Statutes 29-2-106, parentheses 4, parentheses C, parentheses 2, pertaining to sales tax information of a confidential nature. So I would seek a motion from council to go into executive session.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion, a second. Let's vote.
Motion carries unanimously.
Great, thank you. Let's take a quick break at 7:10. Let's come back at 7:20. Thank you.